Now we come to my favorite era of horror films, that of Hammer films. Released as Horror of Dracula in the US to avoid confusion with the Bela Lugosi film, this particular adaptation of the Bram Stoker novel may be the best Dracula movie I have ever seen. Not only are the production values superior to the 1931 version, but this film does a much better job of capturing the spirit of the original source material. There is a certain irony in this, however, as the narrative strays even farther from Stoker's original story. The movie opens with Jonathan Harker arriving at Castle Dracula in order to act as the new librarian, although here he already knows of the vampiric nature of his host and is on a mission to destroy him. When he fails to finish the job, his friend Dr. Van Helsing steps in and discovers that Dracula is going after Harker's fiancée, Lucy, her brother Arthur, and her sister-in-law Mina. At the forefront are two of my favorite actors. Christopher Lee and Peter Cushing are fantastic as Dracula and Van Helsing respectively. Lee makes for the finest iteration of the Prince of Darkness in film history, bringing some appropriate regality to the Count while also moving in a smooth fashion that almost doesn't seem human. The grotesque way in which he slithers around the room is pretty unsettling, which is a feeling that's amplified when his personality switches from a graceful and charismatic host to a savage killer. Likewise, Cushing is perhaps the greatest version of Van Helsing to date, stating every fantastical concept as if it was fact. His intense and straight-faced deliveries are really what help sell the premise. In addition, the flashes of empathy that he periodically displays help to humanize the character and keep him interesting. Other commendable performances come from Michael Goff as Arthur and Melissa Stribling as Mina, who are each memorably relatable in their own right and give the audience two reasonable characters to identify with. Playing Harker is John Van Eysen, who is electrifying and showing the slow progression from confident determination to heart-wrenching despair that is right out of the book. Speaking of which, I said before how this particular adaptation really conveys the tone and atmosphere of the novel better than most. The feelings of loss and fear that are prevalent throughout the story are beautifully portrayed here. In addition, Dracula himself is on screen about as much as he appears in the novel, which is not very often. Most of the suspense and conflict comes from the characters talking about him as this monster and dealing with the ramifications of his evil deeds. The film remains true to this while only loosely sticking to the story, which is something that many filmmakers miss. A movie doesn't necessarily have to stick close to the narrative structure of the book in order to be a faithful adaptation. Another advantage to this one is the plethora of lavish sets and props. Director Terence Fisher gives the audience a good look at every sizable room that the story takes them to, with the actors interacting with each of them as if it's a living, breathing environment. All of this is further strengthened by James Bernard's hard-hitting musical score, which perfectly conveys the gothic horror style. Overall, Horror of Dracula is a terrifically accomplished take on Stoker's character, backed up by excellent performances, impressive set design, confident direction and music, and an overriding sense of dread that never falters for a second.